Do you like peaches like I do? If you love peaches, call 1-800-DERPIES today. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 674 of the Two Dum Yinzers. Good morning, everybody.
Woo!
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Finch. How you guys doing today?
Oh, living the dream, brother. Living the dream.
Livin.
Livin. Finch, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing a little better than most Steeler fans are this week, I guess. But feeling a little bit better. The sickness has mostly left my body, and I'm ready to talk.
Hey, I am coping as well. I think I'm going to be okay. I got into watching some of these other games.
This is
There's
my
some other
therapy.
things that we're going to talk about with these other games today, along with our Steelers. So hang tight, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Oh yeah, guys. Let's start. Listen to this. Let me ask you this. You know, there's always, especially with people like myself, these conspiracy theories and things about sports, and it makes you wonder. Well, I'm not going to get into the referees or the X's and the O's today, but I just want to talk about these couple of things, guys. All right, now, okay, with the LA Wildfires, mind you, the Rams, they won last night. Okay, let's look back at some other times when this kind of happened and it played out for these teams. After 9/11 happened, the Patriots won the Super Bowl. After Katrina happened, the Saints won the Super Bowl. When it was Peyton Manning's last year, he won a Super Bowl. When it was Bettis's last ride, he won a Super Bowl. When it was Ray Lewis's last ride, he won a Super Bowl. And then even if you stretch it over into baseball, back at Hurricane Harvey in 2017, the Houston Astros win the World Series. Guys, does this hold any water, or is this just a big conspiracy coincidence? Again, I mean, this is more than a half dozen situations, and these are the obvious ones. Of course,
yeah.
I'm sure there's things that happen that that we don't even know about. But every time something like this happens, it tends to seem that team goes on to win their championship in their respective sport. And is there anything to this, Finch, Mike? Or is this just conspiracy theorists being crazy?
Well, like I said that like when the Patriots won their Super Bowl, I'm like, of course they
right.
Won.
That's what everybody.
When the Saints won, I'm like, of course they won. Last night when I stopped over to the studio, I said, watch it. The Rams are going to win with everything going on. It's going to win. Now, do I believe it? Because it's happening. Correlation does not equal causation, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you keep the same thing happens over and over and over, a pattern builds, and it makes you think. Now, do I believe it? No. But am I 100%? No. I'm not 100%. No. You can talk me into it. I might be leaning in hard to, okay, yeah, the screws might be, being turned here, buttons, levers being pressed, pulled, whatever, to get the desired outcome when something like this happens. But also at the same time, yeah, you're playing for that city and you're going to rally around that city and the team can rally around it, and then you're going to elevate your play for it, and that can sustain you for a few month period to win a championship. That can happen, but for it to like consistently happen, it makes you think.
The real question is what needs to happen in Pittsburgh to get us a goddamn Lombardi trophy now. Now I don't want to say terrorist attack. Please, for the love of God.
We already tried shooting up a synagogue.
I was going to say the same thing, Brian. I was going to say the same thing.
But can we get a weather event? Maybe. What if I don't want the place to burn to the ground. That's terrible. What's going on in California? Yeah. I don't want a hurricane because that was terrible with Katrina and some other places, Harvey and all that. But can we get like what about 8 feet of snow?
Well, let me ask you this, guys: Would you be willing to sacrifice and have a big, devastating event in our city for a championship for one of our?
I live about 30 miles away from downtown, so if it happens downtown at where it's going to rally the city, I think I'm safe at my place. So
I mean,
hopefully.
Even if like
you think of like
disaster, 9/11 happening in Manhattan, it affects all of New York. It would be something so big that it would obviously affect everybody.
I'm willing to
catastrophic flooding in the rivers. That would be good. I'd be all right.
We get good flooding down there.
No, I mean catastrophic. I'm talking Johnstown too.
Oh God.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, okay, Finch was like, I don't want nothing to die.
Floods the entire stadium, the North
Finch
Shore,
like, I don't
feet
want
underwater.
This, fuck it, give me water flooding. I want
just
people drowning.
right.
I want bodies
Stage
floating
AE goes down the Ohio.
And obviously, here in Western PA, we have nuclear facilities and things like this. So I mean,
I'm
it's
too close
not
to
out of the
shipping port.
question.
I don't want that.
Absolutely, you're obviously.
I got iodine pills at the house. I'm good. I'm straight.
Give me crazy floods that take out the entirety of downtown and North Shore, and then they reschedule a Steeler game, a playoff game. We bump it over to Beaver Stadium or something for the week.
No, we'll bump it over to Aliquippa when we can play it.
Yeah, Heinz Field.
There you go.
Go and see Gears.
I don't know anybody that wouldn't dig that idea to see the Steelers playing at Heinz Field one more time.
Okay, you two want the dead bodies floating down the river. I just want the game played at Aliquippa.
Nobody said anything about
no. That's just what I'm.
Well, I kind of like the dead bodies idea, but I was just thinking. I think that's kind of what you need, though, to obviously match these other situations. Hurricane Katrina was was devastating.
Oh yeah.
And the wildfires obviously devastating. 9/11 devastating. So either we have a superstar that retires from our team after many years, or we have a bad catastrophe. That
Cam and TJ need to announce that they are going to retire after this year, and then boom, we go in and win the Super Bowl this year.
But you got to be a certain level of great, though, because again, Peyton Manning, Ray Lewis, Jerome Bettis, not just anybody gets the ride off treatment. Yeah, these are
TJ Watt, though, the most sacks over in this point of his period, only Reggie White. He is a generational pass rusher. So
I
think therefore he qualifies for it. So he needs to announce his retirement coming up.
So there you go, guys.
I'm sorry, Phil, but that's what we got to do to get a Super Bowl. We got to sacrifice TJ Watt or apparently 80% of the population of downtown Pittsburgh to get a chance.
You know what? You say that now. You're going to walk out of the grocery store later today, and there's going to be a hateful message written in all caps on your car window, right? in the ice on your window.
And I will deserve it. I'm just, we're all talking about, hundreds of thousands of people dying or one guy retiring. I'll take the one guy retiring.
About hundreds of thousands.
I'm just trying. You guys
trying to kill the entire county.
What do I know? What
you guys want to kill everyone. I'm just like one guy retire. I'm thinking I'm being the rational one for a change over here.
You're out of your
rational
mind.
Is not in your
no, it's not, buddy.
No. So there you go, guys. This may be. We might have to sacrifice to the football gods if we ever want a championship again.
I nominate we evacuate all of downtown Pittsburgh except for Derby.
Well, what's he doing? What is he doing? I see he's messaging now back and forth with Finch. What's going on with him? Get him on here.
I'll corral him.
Good morning, Phil the Steel, my man. He says, "Darn it, Mike the Steel has been playing ping pong." What the fuck?
Hey, do we want a Super Bowl or not? This TJ will get his Super Bowl, but then he has to retire, and we save a bunch of lives. Or you can go into camp with Finch,
so basically,
Ryan, and everyone dies. I'm just sacrificing TJ Watt's career and Derpy's life. That's all I'm saying.
All right, that's minimal.
Yeah, I think Derpy will take that trade too. I think he will take one for the team.
And what he does, he has this trick he does. If he knows he lost,
he doesn't
show up that day. He only shows up when he knows he won or on Thursday for picks. He has this whole system figured out. I get his ass in here. Guys, Trenton Thompson, the safety for the Steelers. You've seen that a few times over the past couple of years, mainly in preseason. Trenton Thompson, he hangs it up. He retires. You will not see Mr. Trenton Thompson back in our secondary anymore. He decided to retire this week. Still a pretty young guy. You see that sometimes.
Yeah.
When guys just think, oh, okay, I reached my limit. I hit my ceiling, and that's it for me.
First rat off of a sinking ship.
That first rat off the sinking ship. Trenton Thompson is retired. Phil the Steel says, so tell us how the Steelers win another Super Bowl.
I just told you we sacrificed.
We destroyed the city.
There's virgins and death and everything else that has to happen.
It's the Marvel playbook.
It is.
It's just what has to. I went through all the logical choices I can think of to win a Super Bowl.
You know what? They're not working.
Now TJ Watt has to go out, play one final season, win the Super Bowl, ride off into the sunset like Watt and Ray Lewis. Derpy has to take one for the team and go swimming with Aquaman. and the city gets rebuilt.
In other words, the team is incapable of doing it themselves. It's going to come down to us. We have to save the day.
You know,
I
drastic times call for drastic measures.
I don't think I can handle this pressure, boys.
Well, maybe we had a fourth wheel here. We'd be okay. We could carry out these tasks.
This show has gone off the rails in the first 10 minutes, and I'm here for it.
But we did learn that Trenton Thompson retired.
You know, he was a really good pickup last year off the practice squads out of nowhere. That was a really
nice.
good.
I mean, he was a nice
and you can see that was going to be his level. You know, a handful of plays here and there in the season, be a spot duty guy, and he filled it well in. And you know what? Good luck to your. In your future endeavors, my man. Hell, he was the top one. He was in the top 1% of players for
a few years. There was interceptions to be had. Too.
Yeah, he just had that magical run.
In particular, I could recall. I mean, it wasn't in important games or things like this. However, he wasn't the worst. I've certainly seen guys that weren't as good as him out there that stuck around longer. As Mike said, good luck to Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, it was just
future endeavors.
A numbers game in the safety position this year to where he didn't get caught up. No one got hurt in the safety position.
Steelers right now, it looks like they're going to have the 21st pick in the draft coming up here in 3 months. 21, guys, that's our purgatory. We have been stuck in this purgatory for a long, long time. I'm ready for some changes. Whatever that's going to take, Mike, I would like to see us in the top 10. And, that's always going to come down to not having a good team, having a bad record. But maybe if you have maybe right around a 500 record and you could trade up and make some things happen, you could get inside the top 10. But at the end of the day, guys, something has to happen. We are in purgatory. What are we going to get at 21? Are we going to get exactly what we need? I mean, you'd like to get yourselves, like one of these, these guys that's gone early in the first round over the past few years, like a Neighbors. If you're looking for a wide receiver, somebody at the highest level at their position. Mike, are we going to be able to land anybody at 21?
Yeah,
that we could totally turn things around at that particular position in this year's draft.
Yeah, there's a couple wide receivers that are projected to fall that in normal drafts are going to be higher.
And let me cut you off. Do you think it is going to be a receiver that we go after in the first round? Good.
I think so. Yes, I think so. There's two. The one that most people know about is from Ohio State, Emeka. I'm going to mispronounce his name. Emeka Ibuka. He's a really good receiver down in Ohio State. And you also got Luther Burden out of Missouri. He's another really good wide receiver. They're both projected to be in that 22 to 20 range. But, most draft classes, they would be up a little bit higher, but there's a lot of good edge rushers, a lot of good offensive linemen, some good tight ends. And here that kind of forcing them down in the early draft projections, and you get either one of those guys opposite George Pickens, that's going to be a really good pickup. I think those two guys will be really good.
Good morning to Jen. Good morning to Mark. Always great seeing you guys here from the Steel City. I don't want, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want anybody from Ohio State. The only reason that Derpy cares about anything is if the guy's from Ohio State. He doesn't want any other quarterback in the league. He wants Justin Fields to be the guy that that wins the Super Bowl here, which, I get it, but everything comes down to Ohio State with him. I just don't want anybody else from Ohio State. I don't.
Ohio State's a wide receiver factory. Them and LSU are just pumping out great.
They do receivers. Okay. Their receivers are okay. I don't know, like Jackson Smith and the Jigba. He's an okay. I don't know. I think
they pump out a lot of good receivers too.
Who's some Hall of Famers from Ohio State that played wide receiver?
A Hall of Famers?
Yeah, I went the best. They're great. You're saying that they're great. I want to know the best wide receivers out of Ohio State are.
Well, let's see. Right now, you got Terry McLaurin. He finished number 4th overall in receiver rankings this year. He's a damn good Ohio State receiver. Curtis Samuel. He's Curtis Samuel's out of Buffalo. He's another really good. Oh, okay. He only finished 8th in catches this year.
Curtis Samuel Finch, you a fan?
He has 2 first names.
Exactly. Jackson Smith and Jim. I mean, they're a bunch of good. They're great in college, but they never pan out to be these great receivers in the pros, is what I'm saying. I've seen this happen for decades with Ohio State.
Jigba, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns this year.
Again, not a top receiver in the league, and he won't be
Garrett
a top
Wilson,
receiver.
1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Garrett Wilson, that would be the one. Keep going. Okay, so point proven.
Point proven. I list guys that are in the top
they're a
10,
big school that has
12.
good players sometimes, and it would be okay to maybe get somebody.
Wow.
But you know what, Mike? There's 117 Division I schools that would be great to have somebody from their school.
So we're not going to take someone.
No, because you're only lobbying because it's a Big Ten school. Because I know you too. No. That's the way you roll.
No, I go by whoever the best player is.
No, you lobby for Big Ten all the time.
Went to your college, so you take them. No,
you lobby for Big Ten all the time. All the time. Like, this is nothing new. This is nothing that I just figured.
You're the one who lobbies for guys that are.
Mike, I am lobbying for nobody. I'm literally telling you this is why I don't want this person.
Okay, so we're not going to take someone who has the potential to be a starting wide receiver.
Mike, people
that's all the draft.
Guys come out of college with potential all the time that don't make the league.
Yeah. And there's guys.
All right, listen. I can't argue with you for an hour. It's
because
totally
you don't know what you're talking about
Mike,
when it comes to scouting.
See, this is the problem with you. You automatically
you don't want to admit that someone's good just because they come from a college that's someone that you're mad at right now. You're saying,
why I'm mad at Ohio State? Please,
you're mad at
Derpy
because Derpy wants every from Ohio State.
Please,
and I said this guy from Ohio State is good, and you're
how am I mad at Ohio State? Please fill me in on this.
Because you just
see your argument, you make shit up as you go, and then when you're losing, you start throwing shade at people. When you start
see what you're doing right,
which is what happens to other people on the show that has been problems in the past. Why do you? This is what you do. Why do you start insulting people when you're losing an argument? That's the problem.
That's what you do. You right now you're doing what's called projection. You're projecting your own thoughts and faults and feelings onto someone else because
I'm actually not doing that. I just said I don't want a receiver from Ohio State, and you went on
because you said Derpy wants
that I made stupid decisions because I don't want somebody from certain schools. Mike, that's retarded. You're making a retarded argument, and we need to move on.
You don't
want to move on. You want to sit here and argue about Ohio State for 45 more minutes.
You asked about guys that we can get in the draft.
I listen. I offered
them.
It was a tongue-in-cheek shot at Derpy. If you can't read that,
well, you're coming in all hot and heavy, all pissed off about something.
If you can't read the room, then I wish. Then please mute or something because I'd like to talk about what's going on with the Steelers.
You can mute. You can walk out of here. That's fine.
Mike, I'm talking about the Steelers. Why would you mute me?
Because
you're literally the one that keeps arguing.
You dumbass. I'm literally
you're the dumbass because listen,
I'm answering what you asked a question and I was answering the questions. I was providing.
No, you didn't answer the questions. You start insulting and like you do with everybody else.
You want to move on. You're like, let's go move on.
And it's something that somebody who loses arguments does all the time.
Which is what you do all the time. Again, projection.
How am I, Mike? I'm not. I'm literally proving my point, and you should start insulting. That's what I'm saying. This is I don't do that. You do that.
No, you know what? We can end this right now.
Why would we end this? Because you're shady and you want to take the ball and go home?
No.
That's why you want to end this?
Because this is what you do.
Because you can't have a conversation? Because I don't want somebody from a school?
You being like this.
That's why you want to insult somebody? That's retarded.
You start acting like this.
That is stupid.
I get annoyed.
I've never seen nothing as stupid as that. I'm not going to insult you because you don't like somebody from a school. That's retarded.
You're the one who always goes, "Oh, they went to Penn State, so therefore you're a boy." You're always
do that often. Yes, no, absolutely.
I criticize players.
You absolutely do all the time.
Cam Hayward came from Ohio State.
Who I hate Ohio State. 100%.
I talk about good players.
And I can start keeping track every time and prove it to you every time.
I talk up,
but I don't because I don't want to start a problem with you.
Good players from Michigan all the time. If someone from Penn State does something bad, I talk bad about it.
Not really.
Pat Fryer fumbled away so many games.
Don't really care. Listen,
people don't really care what you're doing right now.
See again, there you go with the shot. I said people don't care. People don't care what I'm doing.
You've called me retarded.
You're projecting is what you're doing and starting problems to make your losing arguments sound valid. And I understand that. And guess what? They understand as well. But we do need to move on, please.
No,
I will sit here. You want to take the ball and go home again, Mike? Is that what you want to do? You want to take the ball and go home? You want to pound and carry your little blankie down the alleyway and go home and drink your warm milk? Is that what you want to do?
Be calm, cool,
because I would love to just talk about Steelers, as I said, for the 9th time in a row.
You know what? I just want to talk about Steelers. End stream, and I will end this entire.
There you go again, Mike.
Because you are so insufferable.
Mike, I'm not insufferable. I'm trying to prove a point. He just keeps jarring at me with these insults. Finch, come on, be honest.
Oh, am I being a bully too?
You're the one who wants to watch. You're the one who takes the ball, want to take the ball and go home. You're not the bully,
because
believe me.
You are being
You're the baby.
Insufferable. You are being insufferable.
I am insufferable. Damn it.
Yes, you are.
That's not a secret.
Yes, see what happens when Derpy doesn't show up. See, Mark was right on the board on that one.
you done crying so we can move
on?
I'm
sorry that you don't understand that good wide receivers have been coming.
Mike, that doesn't matter. That's listen. Let me explain to you something. I don't care that good receivers come out of wide receiver. I just say I don't like them. Is that? And this is
you don't like them? Okay, even though they're putting up 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Okay,
Mike. Okay. That's not.
No. That's fine. We don't want the guys like that. Okay, cool. Got it.
Yes, exactly. I don't want anybody from Ohio State, and not for those reasons. As I stated at the very beginning of the conversation, I don't want him because of Derpy. That's why. Bottom line.
Which is what I said. Then you said you never said that. Okay. Now we got it. We got it on film. Cool.
Believe me, everybody got it.
We got it.
No need to worry.
We all got it.
Everybody totally understands. So if you want to take your ball and shut things off, know that that's what happened. Mike took his little blankie.
Yeah, because I don't want to sit here
and went home
with you when you act.
You don't want to sit here and have a show like we did 700 times and argued before. You're out of your mind.
When you argue like this,
you're a nugget.
You argue like this, there's something obviously going wrong, and when you
argue like this, two people are arguing like this, and believe me, you were arguing as well. We have to move on, Mike. This has been going on for 10 minutes. The people are probably losing their minds. Mike McCarthy fired yesterday out of Dallas. Some rumors that Jerry Jones will be giving Mike Tomlin the call to see what's going on with him. You think that he might be interested in a trade, maybe something like this. A lot of rumors going around. Mike Tomlin is on the outside of the box of possibilities for new coaches in Dallas, which I think a lot of people in Pittsburgh might be happy with now after, the past 10 years or so, give or take. Finch, I don't see it happening, but would that be the perfect fit? I think Dallas fans would love. I think they would love Mike Tomlin. I think it would be
I think one of Mike Tomlin's, the thing that's working well for Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh is his very good relationship with the ownership in Pittsburgh. It's obvious that the ownership here loves Mike Tomlin. It's obvious that Mike Tomlin likes him back. You've never heard a bad word between the two of them. That would change in Dallas. Mike would not get along with Jerry Jones. Mike is smart enough to know that he would not get along with Jerry Jones. And I don't care. Jerry could hand him $1 billion in cash. And
Mike, are you drinking already?
Diet Coke.
Oh, I know you drink early sometimes to get you rowdy.
Drink early? This is like 5 o'clock.
Now you're gonna tell me you never drink early.
See, you're 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Be tired today. That's your problem.
No. In fairness,
Mike, have you ever drank during this show?
Yeah. Have you ever not been?
Never. I've never ever drank during this show.
Have you ever forget to take your medication before the show?
Every show. That's why it's good. If I took my medicine during this show, it would never be good. Believe me.
But anyway, back to the Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones, this guy is like one of the worst owner GMs in the league. It would be fun to see no good coach wants to go there. Mike McCarthy, I'm surprised he lasted that long too. My God. And Tomlin has a no trade clause in his contract, so he ain't going nowhere unless he wants to go.
So just a quick tangent, since you guys got 10 whole minutes, I'm going to bump in. This program I'm using for sound ports now allows me to live clip as we go.
Oh, God.
And I have been having just a good old time.
Let me cut you off.
That is my new favorite clip.
Let me cut you off. Can you send one for Derpy to get his ass down?
It's over here.
Here you go, guys, just now.
Have you ever forget to take your medication before the show?
Every show. That's why it's good. I like that. That was good.
Oh, and then Ryan. I just got 30 minutes
I'm literally proving my point, and you just started insulting. That's what I'm saying. I don't do that. You do that.
Okay. We can end this.
I'm sorry, guys. I just people are watching me crack up here, and it's because I'm just clipping everything you guys are saying, and the software is good, and I'm having a good time.
It's been a while since Ryan and I had a good blow up like this.
I think it's the first time since I've been on the show.
I think it was needed. I'm better.
Where is he? I'm losing my mind.
I think Ryan feels better now.
I do feel better. I just wish Derpy so I could yell at him.
All right, virtual high five, bro.
F you.
I go for the virtual high five and I get for the one F you.
For one.
Also, guys, rumors.
Let's refocus.
The rumors swirling also about Hines Ward, possibly coming back in a some kind of coaching role here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Guys, what do you think of a possibility of Hines Ward back on the sideline? I know that he would be a fan favorite. I know that not many people would be against this.
It's lip service, dude.
He probably would be a good teacher, in all honesty. He was a hardworking football player, and he never took shortcuts, and everything that he did was always above and beyond the way he played football. And he seems like a pretty smart guy. He had a bad run in the XFL, but guys, some of the names that we've heard, and I'm not talking about an offensive coordinator, believe me, but to have Hines Ward back on the sidelines, let's just say that ever became an option. You guys for or against?
I love Hines Ward as a player. As a coach, everywhere he has gone, success has not followed. Like where he was the receiver coach, because I looked this up last year. Like his 2 years as receiver coach, was it for the Jets? Their numbers went down every year. The receivers. Now, was that quarterback play? Was it the talent? Was that him? Was a combination of three? Then he coached in the XFL twice. Complete failure. It's just, I don't know if he's cut out to be a coach. Some players are not meant to be coaches, and I don't know if he's meant to be a coach. I would love for him to be I'd love for him to be a good wide receiver coach, because I think that's what that team needs. Is someone like him to go in there and bust heads and bust balls. Well, that's kind of what they have right now in that receiver coach. But for someone like, he got that toxic head case George Pickens mixed in there. Would he listen to Hines Ward? That's the thing.
Hines Ward is good for fan service. It's good to see his face connected to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Could he be a good addition to the teams in terms of a motivator? Sure. To fill that role, maybe to come in and be a guy who's not exactly an X's and O's coach per se. He's not working with the wide receivers all the time individually. He's not drawing up game plans, anything like that. That, as Mike said, probably isn't his strong point. But to have him around the facility, offering words of wisdom, I mean, he's a very, very he was a very good player. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He has value there. So, I think it's a good idea to bring him in as some sort of role. But as an actual X's and O's coach, I don't see it.
How they have like the quality control coach. They can make any up title they want for him and have him be that guy to where he's in there with every offensive position.
Wouldn't want them to give him too much responsibility.
Let me give you guys an example. There was a guy that graduated from my high school about 8 years before I did. Now, he was a really good football player, and he was an assistant linebacker coach on the Super Bowl winning teams in the early 2000s, the two teams that won. Now, this was a guy from Monaca who wasn't a professional. I would say give a guy like Hines Ward a shot, because of a little guy from Monaca from my high school, that didn't have a career in pro football, but I think somebody like Hines could just be a not a bad idea to have. And as you guys were saying, not as a specific coordinator, but to be some kind of, a quality something, whatever. As you said, Finch, make up a position. I just don't think having somebody like Hines can hurt the situation, and maybe could boost the morale. I don't know. Yeah. It's a tricky thing. And again, you guys are right. He doesn't have great success in coaching so far. And he didn't in the XFL. He hasn't, this past year. I mean, it was okay, but I think that again, it just kind of falls into one of those things, guys, where we're going to get a Pittsburgh person. Everybody's going to be happy at the end of the day, and that's ultimately going to be, the biggest point of the whole thing. But you know what? Okay. Also, this guy's jumping off of Hines Ward. Did anybody watch his game last night? The Vikings and the Rams.
I watched a little bit of it. Yeah.
No, I saw the score in the second quarter, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to even bother putting this on my phone at work. And that was that.
Listen, I'm going to tell you a couple of things, a couple of observations that I made, not just last night, but over the time. There's teams that plays with an edge, and there's teams that don't play with an edge. If you watch the teams that win in the playoffs, there's an edge they play with. The teams that lost, look at the Steelers. Look at how they played. Look at the Vikings. Look at how they played. A couple of teams, they got pretty talented players. They just don't play with that edge. It's a preparation thing. And if you go down this list of teams that lost over this past weekend, it's basically the same with all these teams. They're just not playing with that edge. When you see the Lions play, there's a certain edge when they play. When the Bills play, there's an edge that this team plays with.
The Ravens
have that edge.
Man, they had a sharp edge.
And if you would compare us and the Ravens from our last game, everybody, I think, would agree that one team had the edge and the other team was flat. And this is the difference in the league right now is, does your team have that edge? And if they are winning in the playoffs. If they don't, your team is losing. I think Minnesota's a good team. I think they could beat a lot of teams in the NFL. But the game I watched last night, guys, that wasn't a good they didn't play a good football game. Final score ended up being 27-9, but you're watching it and you just never had that feeling that the Vikings were going to move things along, get back in the game, score a lot of points, and make it interesting because you're watching and there's just no edge. The other team gets the ball. I got to tell you this, guys. I changed my mind 100% last night. I was all on board with getting Sam Darnold. Guys, I want a Matthew Stafford. That guy's a fighter. That guy goes out to L.A. and brings their first Super Bowl win in 20-some years. That guy has edge. That guy plays with edge. You know who else played with edge? Ben Roethlisberger had edge. The Mannings had edge. Patrick Mahomes has edge. These guys, when they step up to the line, and you have a feeling that no matter what, any given play, something is going to happen. They can make something happen. If Big Ben had 3rd and 13, you were confident. Guess what? Ben could probably get us a first down. And a lot of times he did. Sometimes he didn't. But there's a certain look. There's a certain edge, not with just teams. It's with quarterbacks. These are the winning ones in the league. There's probably about 5 of them out there.
Yep.
And then there's everybody else. This is a person that understands the game more than anybody. He understands an offensive play in pro football better than any other quarterback. He's just got that edge. Whatever you do to have to obtain that as a team, as a player, do it, because these are the teams that win. They're the teams that win consistently, and the teams that don't have that edge, which we didn't have this year. I mean, there was times we had shades of edge, but it was against, we could go into that whole argument anytime, but that's what I figured out. I'm watching this game. What's the difference between the Rams and the Vikings? The Rams are 10-7. The Vikings are 14-2. Guys, it was edge. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold isn't good. I'm saying that Stafford is a guy that I want under center in a game situation where it counts. He has edge. You see it in his face. He looks like he's done it before. He could step up to the line. He could make adjustments, and he could get the ball downfield as he needs to in most situations, as those quarterbacks that I mentioned just a moment ago did as well and still continue to do. That is what I'm noticing in the league. I'm trying to figure out what separates the teams, what separates the quarterbacks, and it's just that. Those guys have it. The guys I keep talking about, our guy, they have that edge. Again, they can step up to the line. They recognize what they see. They make it happen. I didn't feel that from our quarterback. Nope. Who's a good quarterback. The guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, no two ways about it. He won a Super Bowl, but at this point, he just doesn't have the edge. No. At one point, he did, and around the league, you got to get that guy. Guys, I'm off Sam Darnold only because of the performance last night, and I am on to Matthew Stafford. I would give the Rams all 3 of our defensive superstars for Matthew Stafford. It would be worth it, believe me, because in this league, you have to score. You have to score often. Paying $130 million for a defense just isn't working anymore in the NFL. You got to get that guy with the edge. The guy I seen last night that played for the Rams, he has the edge, guys.
Oh, yeah. You could see he had it when he was in Detroit. That just, at that time, they had no one around him other than Calvin Johnson. They couldn't build a team. And, and
I'm sorry. Like said, I'm sorry, Phil the Steel. I threw his guy in there. I didn't even realize.
And then you look back, like you said, Russ at one point had that edge. At one point, Aaron Rodgers had that edge. Now they don't. Now you're looking at Mahomes, Stafford, looking like Allen, and looking like Lamar. Those are your 4.
Now I'm gonna air high five you. Listen, air high five. Okay, because you're right, Mike. Aaron Rodgers, he used to be able to walk up to that line. What's that?
Because the games where he had threw 3 Hail Marys to win the game. And over regulation and overtime, he had it at the point. Now Absolutely. He doesn't. Russ used to be able to run around for an hour and then find a guy. Doesn't have it anymore. And
those guys, their class has left them.
Yeah,
everybody else had retired from their class. They belong, for both Aaron Rodgers and Russell. They come from that category, that time of the Bens, Ben Mannings, Brady, Breeze, Phillip Rivers, so on and so forth. Their time has passed them. They don't have that edge. As you said, they did have that edge. They won Super Bowls. They did great things, but that edge is gone. You're not going to win a Super Bowl here in Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson. even some of you people saying that, what, and I know it's tongue in cheek, but they're saying the Steelers have the highest odds of pulling in somebody like Aaron Rodgers, which we don't want. You don't want this guy. Yes, it's going to sound good, just like Russell Wilson did. We're all going to get excited all the way up to the first game of the season. We're going to win some games, but at the end of the day, your quarterback does not have that edge anymore. Your quarterback is pushing 40. Worked for Tom Brady, but you know what? I think that's why we call him the GOAT.
That's why
we hate to.
Yeah, that's why he's like the Gretzky, the Lemieux, the Jordan of the NFL. He was the one of guy, and you're not going to get that again at that age. And yeah, and going into this free agency class, your big three quarterbacks are Darnold, Wilson, and Fields.
Yep.
And an outside chance at Mac Jones, Mason Rudolph. Those are your other guys.
And like a lot of times, Justin Fields, listen, I'm not going to say he's not good, but I'm going to say at that school, they tend to become a product of that school, that system. And I don't know. Listen, I'm not high on the Justin Fields.
I'm not high on quarterbacks from Ohio State. Yeah.
I'm not, listen, that dude's not going to win us a Super Bowl. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not going to say he doesn't play well. I'm just saying Justin Fields. And let me take this back a little bit. I noticed this in the 90s. And when I noticed this was when Neil O'Donnell became a Steeler. You know what Neil O'Donnell did? He came in and he won games and he threw the ball around at will and moved the ball at will. And we were able to do a lot of things on offense that I ever knew prior to that because I grew up in the 80s and we had Bubby Brister and these guys. So I learned this. And after Neil O'Donnell left, I thought, well, this sucks. Yeah, he threw away a Super Bowl, but we don't have a guy that could play quarterback like he does. And this is when I started to recognize this in my head. And I used to say, we need one of these other guys. These other guys that's winning in this league they all have that good quarterback. At that time, Troy Aikman and Steve, San Francisco, Steve Young. And teams that were winning were teams that had a quarterback that was just an aggressive, good. He's seen things. He knows things. He looks comfortable. He looks like he did it before as he steps up to the line in a big game situation, as Ben did in Super Bowl 43 when he walked up to that line and that down in against Arizona. It looked like he'd been there a million times.
Yep.
Because he just knew that about himself. That's the guy you need. Again, there's probably about 5 of them on the planet. We have to get one, and it didn't get better. It went back to the way it was in the 80s. We got Cordell, we got Kent Graham, we got Mike Tomczak. It was up and down, and then you finally get your guy in Ben, and you see the difference that the franchise takes. So if that means anything, that's kind of, I tried to piece together what it is I always preach so I could make it a little bit more understandable. That's what I came up with, guys. If that helps, I hope it does. If not, but this is something that we have to do. There's no two ways about it. There's no two ways about it. It's what we have to do to get better and get back to the promised land if we ever want to get there.
And kind of like Steeler Freaks saying, the Steelers franchise QBs in college or high school right now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, because like I said, coming out of this draft right now, just from my own 2 eyes, the only one I would take in the first round is Cam Ward, but I have questions about him. And once until a couple of the ex-quarterbacks I watch and follow that start breaking down quarterbacks, then I might start, if they say someone's good, I might champion a quarterback in this draft class. But right now, I just don't see any quarterback outside of Cam Ward worth taking in this draft. So would you be opposed to, bringing back Justin Fields for his market, quote unquote, market value is $9 million.
Yeah, I don't mind having him.
Bring him back for a year. Maybe get someone like, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back Mason Rudolph, but I don't think this team will, because when he was in there, the ball was pushed downfield. He wasn't afraid to throw interceptions. That's
I'd like to see him in a
guy
out situation, though. I mean, a couple games.
Because he wasn't good in Tennessee.
Because he played some pretty bad teams to finish up the season. Then we went to the playoffs against a real team. I like to see him in larger quantities, Mason Rudolph. Guys, let's jump to the board real quick. I don't want to leave people out.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back here to when Jen said Williamson also said Patrick Queen was super sick, did not have, shouldn't be playing. They said they gave him like 4 IV bags or something in order for him to go out there and not dehydrate.
Tip of the cap performance right there.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the guys. That's the guys Pittsburghers want. They want players. Yinzer Joe, what's up, my man? He says, right, Jen and Cam and Bosch just got over the same flu. Absolutely. I give it to them guys as well. Mark Malone, my man, he says, I bring in Mac Jones, Mason Rudolph, and draft a couple more. Feel the Steel says those quarterbacks see something before it happens and they go, yes, they see things. I don't, you can't teach this. is what these guys have.
Like a lot of quarterbacks, their biggest drawback is the time to process the information. That's what holds back like a Fields, a Kenny Pickett, a Mason Rudolph. Like they can make all the throws. It's that
but
processing
you got to do
time.
It at the highest
they
level.
can't do it at that high level. And Russ can't do it at that high level anymore. He used to be able to do it at a high level. Aaron Rodgers the same way. They don't have that processing power anymore. If they do, the body's not there to follow through.
John, what's up, my man? John, you did say this just a moment again, guys. It says Steelers franchise quarterback is in college or high school. Hopefully not in the intermediate school. I'd like to get him sooner than later.
He's playing Pee-wee.
Pee-wee. Yinzer Joe says, I would make a 3-way trade for Justin Herbert so the Chargers could get J.J. McCarthy. Mark Malone says, dude, Field struggles to throw for a 200-yard game. If he does, he's a turnover machine. Listen, and he's not the answer. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind having him on the team. But again, you're looking for that guy. He's not that guy.
Like Rudolph's not that guy. Mac Jones not that guy. Looking like Sam Darnold's not that guy.
DWL says to Mark Malone, I disagree completely. Also, what is this? Is that Derpy? Where's Derpy anyway?
I don't know. That's not Derpy.
Mark Malone says we need a guy to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mark Malone says at Derpy. Mark Malone says at DLW, disagree all you want. Those are variable facts. Yinzer Joe says I like Fields. He has the speed and a lot of upside. I don't contest that. But he can't even handle a center snap. He only threw 5 touchdowns, only one game over 300 yards, and they lost that game. DWL says, LOL, hyperbole, go look it up. Let's see. DWL says, I'm not going to go back and forth with anybody being dishonest. Yeah, we don't do that here, guys. In the famous words of, who's the guy that just left here from the Pirates, Mike? Rowdy Tellez. We don't do that here. Mark Malone, let's see. He says, I'm discussing, I will try one time discussing truthfully. Here goes. Mark Malone says, okay, so you were exaggerating about disagreeing completely. DWL says, he never had a snap center problem in 3 years in Chicago, but if you want to blame him, okay, you guys realize the center messed up. Also, Mark Malone says, Fields simply can't and never will be able to read the field. He was a good college quarterback. DWL says, yes, he threw for 367 yards here in a loss trying to come back. John, I am not sure I can last another offseason with endless discussions as if we can affect change. It is 8 months of fantasy owners, GMs, 8 head coaches. It's getting old. DWL says he threw for 657 yards and 8 touchdowns in a 10-game span. It's not him. So whatever, my guy, Mark Malone is laughing back at him. Also, he says Fields is a bust, and DWL says I'm talking to you in comments, not you guys. We know. I find this interesting, and you guys going back and forth a little bit keeps things fun. Keeps us on our toes here.
Like if Fields is a bust, so is Mac Jones. Why would you want to bring in 2 busts?
Again, they're just not that guy. Take everything that we said earlier, guys. He's just not. What we ultimately want. No. Can these guys kind of be Band-Aids and cans kicked down the road? Yeah, of course they can. And were they good in college? Of course they were. Do they have good yards when they come in? Sometimes they do. But at the end of the day, think about it, guys. What it is that we actually need. Finch, Phil the Steel's calling on you for a mid-show boom. 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 That's what I'm talking about.
But no, like this is like Ryan and I, like you and I've talked about this on the show for a while now. Ever since Ben retired, it's the '80s all over again.
It is the '80s all over again,
and it's like and
people argue for these quarterbacks that aren't worth it, Mike. Like Mike Tomczak and
I was about to say,
Mike Brisker, and all these guys. People
Jim
argued
Miller,
and argued.
Kent Graham.
But you're sitting back and you're saying, I know that Kent Graham's not going to win a Super Bowl. I know that it's not going to happen. So that's what I'm saying, guys. Of course, some of these guys will do well. Some of these guys wouldn't. I don't know. They are what they are. We need one of these top 5 guys that exist on the planet, apparently, to step under center for us. And that's how we will win that championship. It's not going to be with any of these. I promise. Listen, if Justin Fields comes in next year, we're not winning the Super Bowl. It's not because he's not good enough. It's not because the team isn't good enough. I don't know. We're just not that's not the kind of guy that has the edge. It's winning playoff games right now. Again, just take a look around. It's really simple. Let's see. I'm done, dude. Here praising Mac Jones. Wonder why. Have at it, guys. Mark Malone says Mac. Okay, so they're fighting about Mac Jones a little bit. We are going to move on, guys. Mike, I do want to get into the list of free agents today, but just let me take a real quick look and see if there's anything we got to get out of the way first. Playoff games this weekend. Saturday, 4:30, the first game of the weekend, the Texans at Kansas City. Guys, any chance that Kansas City doesn't win this game?
No.
Yeah, probably not. I think KC is going to wrap it up.
I think the league has this. I don't think that they want Houston to win this game in a billion years and won't let Houston win this game in a billion years. I don't know what I mean by saying that, but that's what I mean.
The refereeing crew for that game has already reffed 6 Chiefs games this year, and the Chiefs won all 6 of those games.
Real quick, speaking of refs, did you guys see the ref go over and pat Josh Allen on the helmet saying, "Oh, that was my bad. That call won't happen"?
You know what? I've seen that about 3 times this weekend with different games, and it's kind of unsettling, actually.
No, he's like, "Don't worry, Josh, we'll protect you." Baby.
Yep, you see it with the favorites. I see it 3 times. I counted. Phyllis still says, "Fellas, maybe for motivation, Peaches in training camp. I know she motivates me."
There we go.
Peaches to Latrobe, guys. Next game, guys. The second game on Saturday is the Washington Commanders. I'm finally getting it right. The Commanders. They're going to travel to Detroit, guys. I see Detroit winning this game, but I think it's going to be closer than people might think. This Washington team, they got some ballers.
They do. Like Jaden Daniels, man. He's like Fitch and I were talking off here before the show. He was playing really good football this year, and like how they got weapons on that offense. Whew.
Yeah, Tim, my good friend Tim from the Too Cranky Jagoff show, he hates Jaden Daniels, and it's because he loves Caleb Williams and the Bears, and he's quite upset that Jaden's having had a good game and won. So it'll be fun. We're going to have that discussion on Friday night, but I got to give it to Jaden Williams and give it to the Commanders for playing a solid game. You know, they came back, they made the win, and good for them.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, I mean, he's going to be something. He's kind of in that he's on that line for me. Is he going to be that guy, one of these guys that we're talking about, or is he, going to be the guy that's really good? He just never can get it done. Maybe he goes to another franchise one day that does, produce winning teams more regularly. Who knows? But he's fun to watch. There's no two ways about that, guys. I like the Commanders to give Detroit a game at least.
Like he was completing like 70% of his passes this year as a rookie, and they were vertical downfield, across the middle passes too. And he's looking like he can be that next Lamar, next Josh Allen type dual threat quarterback. My only issue with him is my guy likes to take hits and get blown up.
Next on the playoffs, guys, Sunday, the first game of the day. That's a 3:00 game. The Rams travel to Philadelphia. Now, the Rams team that I've seen play last night, that's probably not going to be the Rams team that you see, because when you play a team that doesn't have edge and you're playing with edge, it makes you look really good. Mm-hmm. But when a team with edge plays another team with edge, that shrinks the margin. So I think that this game goes to Philadelphia. I'm not going to say that the Rams and Stafford doesn't have that edge. I just think that I just don't think that the Rams are going to be able to match the edge of the Eagles in Philadelphia. Just my opinion on that. Rams, Eagles. Finch, who do you like in this one?
I like the Eagles in this game. However, I think the Rams might have the best shot of pulling an upset this week compared to the other games.
Mike, what do you like? Who do you like in this Rams-Eagles game?
Ooh.
You know what it really feels like to me? Remember last year, Cleveland, or the year that Cleveland went to the playoffs and they beat us, and then they went to the next round and lost. They had that edge when they played us, and then they went to the next round and they just lost to somebody who had, they were playing better football. That's what this team reminds me of. This Rams team.
Yeah, but the thing is, that kills me with the Eagles. Like, you got the wide receiver sitting there reading a book, like a self-help book, on the sideline because he's not getting the ball enough.
Yeah, that's
Jalen Hurts didn't have the greatest looking stat line, but he was effective and moved the ball down the field, and they were just relying on that defense in the run game to get them through. So there's issues always with that Philly team, man. We saw it last year. Is it rearing its ugly head now down the stretch? Possibly, but I'm still gonna take Philly in a nail biter. It's gonna be a lot closer than it should be in the next round. I think that's when Philly collapses.
And finally, guys, I think the most exciting game of the weekend, I gotta say, between these two teams, looking at all four teams now, between the two teams playing against one another, these are the two most talented teams playing this weekend. Sunday night, of course, in the divisional round, the Ravens travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills. That's a 6:30 start on Sunday. The winner will, of course, go on to be one of the final four teams heading into championship weekend. This one might be a little bit more difficult to figure out because these are two teams that are both sharp teams. They both have more than capable quarterbacks. Finch, Ravens at the Bills. Who do you like in this one?
It's going to be the Bills. The Ravens are good. They're playing sharp football, like you said, but the Bills right now are just sharper. Josh Allen looks like he's like a man amongst boys on the field right now.
He's something else.
Just something else, man. And you got to respect that. And I think the history of the Bills is behind them. The nation wants to see the Bills do well. Nobody wants to see the Ravens do well outside of Baltimore. I'm going with the Bills. I think they're going to do it, but I also think it might be a very, very good football game.
Does either one of you guys think that a Bills Detroit Super Bowl just blow the roof off of ratings?
It'd be great.
I think Americans would love that game between the Bills and Detroit, especially both being good. They both had their problems, we know, in the past. See those two teams, neither of them having a Super Bowl. Neither one of them are unlikable just yet. I mean, people that really, like Mike and myself, we find reasons to have issue. But, to be honest, neither one of them are really that unlikable yet. I think that this Super Bowl would do great.
And again, this is the scenario that the NFL has been setting up, not just this year. I mean, with the entire idea of parity in the NFL the last 30 years and introducing salary caps and all these different rules when it comes to free agency and trading, it's to set up games like that. It's so you don't get those repeat teams who just run these dynasties. Somehow it manages to happen once every decade. This right now, obviously the Chiefs. But this is what you want to see. A couple of years ago, when you saw teams like the Bengals go to the Super Bowl, when the Eagles made it back to the Super Bowl against Tom Brady all those years ago, this is what the NFL wants. This is what the NFL needs, because you need teams like Detroit who have never been there. You need them to step up and put on a good showing, and it makes the league look a lot better because of it.
Absolutely. And as you said, I mean, they built the league. They redesigned the league, for there to be parity. But as you said, you just can't get that past that one team.
There's always one.
There's always one. And, for some reason, they're the only one that can figure out the formula. It goes back to having a great coach paired with a franchise QB. I mean, that seems to always be the case, right? So when you do get that scenario, that dream scenario in a city, the way the NFL is set up right now, you're gonna have at least one team. What you gonna do? It is what it is. Also, guys, Cam Hayward. Listen, you guys probably saw this. I thought it was interesting. There were 48 NFL players who recorded 10-plus pass defenses this season. 47 of them were defensive backs. The only one who wasn't, that's right, Cam Hayward, defensive tackle. The only one of the 48 players that was not a DB. He managed to have 10-plus pass defenses this season.
That's one thing Cam, his entire career, he has been great at knowing, okay, I can't get to the quarterback on this play, but what can I do? I can get into the pass lane. And a swat, I will take that. It's a loss it down. I love it. Some of those have led to interceptions from guys. It's a great skill to have, and it's like a lost art amongst defensive linemen of get your hand up in the passing lane, and he just has a knack for it. It was a thing of beauty. And real quick, back to the Buffalo Ravens playoff matchup. They played earlier this year. Granted, it was week 4. The Ravens won 35-10. Yeah. Derrick Henry ran for 199 yards.
It's gonna be a good one. No two ways about it. It's not gonna be 35-10. I can tell you that.
Buffalo's defense got a whole hell of a lot better as the season went on, so it's gonna be crazy game. Crazy game.
That is. Let me answer that question. Let me answer the question that Yinzer Joe asked.
Yes.
He says, "Hey, Mike, is that picture of you and your family behind you?" It is his picture of him and his family, yes. And are you in your PJs and still bald? Yes, that is him on the right-hand side. That is Mike as a little kid, still bald. And that is him and his family, because he's really old, and that's what pictures look like back then.
Oh, that's That's that sexy beast right over there. That's
Ryan. Oh yeah, the one on the other side. That's actually me.
That's Ryan. That's
the one in the dress with the beard on the other side.
Yeah, Ryan's in the dress and the beard, and there's me, all bald and beautiful, baby.
A couple other things, Mike. Only besides for one team, we outscored every losing team this weekend in the playoffs, which is, I guess, kind of an accomplishment last night.
Hollow victories, baby. That's what Pittsburgh is becoming known for across all sports.
We outscored every losing team except for one this weekend. Also, Mike, I'm going to give you these numbers, and then we are going to move because we do have to talk about some free agents, as we said. Listen to this, guys. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is your last 8 seasons. Bear with me. These are the starts that the Steelers had in those last 8 playoff games that they did not win. Here we go, guys. Starting with this one, 21-0. 21-0 was the lead in the second quarter going into halftime this past weekend against the Ravens. Before that, last year, it was 21-0 halfway through the second quarter. The year before that, we played Kansas City. We were down 35-7 with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. We were down 28-0 with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, the Browns game. Jacksonville, prior to that, we were down 21-0, 8.5 minutes through the second quarter. Prior to that, when we played the Patriots, we were down 33-9 in the third quarter. Before that, when we lost to the Baltimore Ravens, that was the one that I was at in 2012. They were down 30-15 in the fourth quarter. And then prior to that, everyone remembers the game against Denver. Even if it went to overtime, we still started out very slow in that game. 20-6, we were down at the end of the second quarter. So this team has not started good in a playoff game for a very long time. It's actually bizarre that they started that horrific.
Yeah.
In 8 consecutive playoff games. It doesn't even, this is with different this was a Hall of Fame quarterback at one time. This is with a lot of different players. It just, it's the numbers are what baffles your mind. Again, 21-0, 21-0, 35-7, 28-0, 21-0, 33-9, 30-15, 20-6. That's the way that our last 8 playoff losses started. That has to change. I mean, come on. I don't.
One thing has been consistent with all 8 of those teams. What is it?
I would say that you're probably going to say the head coach.
Facts. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
Facts.
All right, guys, let's get over to the. No, yeah, well, yeah. P says, and I do want to say, hey, P. He says maybe spread some of the cap room around. I mean, you got to do something. They got to do something. You can't continue on that. And again, that's over a long period of time. That's not just a couple years. That's you could look at that and say, geez. Mike, let's get into Finch. Let's get into the free agents. I'm going to go down the list here, guys. So at the top of the people, as far as what money they get paid, Mike Williams sits at the very top. Mike, $10 million. Does Mike Williams, does he return to this team next season or no?
Probably not. His market value right now, according to Sport Track, which is they're pretty accurate, is only $4.5 million. If they would use him, I'd bring him back at 4.5.
All right. Finch, James Daniel. James Daniel, his APY is $8 million. Does James Daniels make it back? We got guys getting healthy on this offensive line next season. Guys are going to be going. Guys are going to be staying. Obviously, free agency. Is James Daniels on the Steeler team in 2025?
Probably not. No.
Mike, you like James Daniels a little bit?
I do. I like. He was playing. The past few years, he's been rated as one of the best pass blocking guards in the NFL, and we saw it this year. They planned on him being gone anyway because Sayamala's contract runs another year, and they drafted McCormick. I wouldn't be opposed to cutting Sayamala, signing James Daniel, and flop McCormick to the left side and let him play there and get James Daniels back. I think the line would be in a much better situation, but I don't think it's going to happen.
This one here, Mike, I noticed you said the other day is you probably didn't think this guy was going to be. I think there was a conversation I had with you. Dante Jackson, number 3 on this list, Mike, with a $6 million APY. What's the chance that Dante Jackson comes back? And if he doesn't come back, what do we do to plan to fill that other cornerback position?
He fell off.
because he fell off. But you know what? For 90% of the season, he was guy. If you didn't have him through 90% of the season, we had more trouble.
I would bring him back. I want him back at less than $9 million, and then find a legit number 2 beside Joey Porter. Have him be your third, because he plays well in that zone coverage. That's where a lot of his picks come from, in zone. Bring him back if you can get him on the cheap.
Finch, Justin Fields. Is he going to be a Steeler next year? It doesn't matter if he starts or backup or whatever. Do you think he's on the squad?
I think he is on the squad next year. These guys were really having it out on the board earlier about Justin Fields, but the fact of the matter is we don't have a number 1 guy at all. I don't care who we draft or whatever. We're not going to get a number 1 truly franchise quarterback next season. It's not in the cards. You keep what you got. Russ Wilson will probably command a little bit too much money. Although it'd be nice to keep him around. You still like Russ, but he sucked the last 5 games. So what can you really say about him? But yeah, I think Fields sticks around. I think that's going to be our guy next year, at least going into the season, like the way he was going into the season this year before we picked up Russ.
All right, I'm just going right down the list from the guys that make the most to the guys that make the least. Mike, back to you on this one. This guy had his season cut short this year. I was expected to do a little bit, but eventually be moved out of the position because of the draft pick. Mike, Nate Herbig. Does Nate Herbig remain on this team? And if he does, is it anything more than just because his brother's here and they probably work something out with them?
I don't think he comes back. He provides, we got guys who can provide depth that he was providing that are cheaper. Yeah, he's gone.
Okay. Finch, inside linebacker. I think that this guy is invaluable. Landon Roberts. Do you think that they keep Landon Roberts in this mix of inside linebackers they have coming up?
I think so, yes. He provides good depth. Our linebacking core is starting to age a little bit. So it's good to have somebody like him there to offer that extra set of feet and extra set of hands, rather. So, I think we keep Landon Roberts this year.
P says Russell Wilson needs a QB mound. I like it. All right, Mike, back to you. This one is perfect for you.
I know it is. I see it.
Mike, Najee Harris, is he going to be a Steeler next year? I don't think he's going to be. I don't like him. I wish he would be. I don't think he's going to be here.
I don't think he's going to be here. I like Najee, but for me, he's too inconsistent. But is that the line?
But he's gained more yards than basically everybody else over the past 4 years.
He has. Yes, but I'm just saying, you watch him game in, game out. He'll have monster games, and then you don't see him for a while, and then he's getting replaced for Jalen Warren. It's if he wasn't a first overall pick, I probably wouldn't have that sour feeling towards him. If he was a second, third round pick, I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's bring him back. That first round thing, that stigma that's attached to it, the expectations, I don't think they're going to bring him back.
So he will not be? Okay.
I don't think he'll be back.
I think he's going to make somebody happy. It's not going to be us. He's going to go somewhere and make somebody a happy team. Finch, over to you. Next on the list, of course, is safety. An issue that a position we've had issues at. Injuries here or there. Some people not performing. DeMonte KZ, Finch, is he a Steeler next year?
I'm kind of indifferent to him because it's good. Once again, good to have depth at these positions, skill positions on defense, especially. You always want an extra set of hands there, but I don't think he's gonna. He didn't impress me very much. He made a boneheaded play in the playoff game. I believe he had the running into the kicker. No thanks. I think we can do without him.
Mike Van Jefferson, does he linger on this team in the wide receiver room? Obviously, we're still trying to figure out our wide receiver positions. At the end of the day, does Van Jefferson is he sitting in a Steeler locker next season?
He might be because he's cheap, and if we keep bringing back Arthur Smith, he knows the offense. Okay. And if we bring back one of these quarterbacks, they kind of have a rapport with them, and I can see him coming back.
Vince, this guy didn't play it down this year, but you know what? There was no reason for him to. We see him a little bit in preseason. I'm talking about the number 3 quarterback. Finch, is there any reason to switch out and go and get somebody who has the exact same talent level and basically give him the exact same money and play the carousel position, or would you be okay with keeping Kyle Allen as your number 3 quarterback?
Oh, you keep him on. You know what I mean? It's good to have somebody there who's familiar with the offense. He knows what's going on. You can plug him in. He's practiced a season with us now. He knows what's going on with our offense, the way we run things, and I'm sure he has some sort of rapport with Arthur Smith. So yeah, I mean, if money isn't the issue and it's going to be the same amount of money you're paying a guy, you might as well keep the guy who already has some of the knowledge of the offense.
Mike, in an already large tight end room, does the Steelers bring Michael Pruitt back? I mean, you got your starter, you got your second string guy. You probably got about 9 tight ends when it comes down to it. Patterson plays there, Hayward plays there sometimes.
Yeah.
Mike, is there even room for Pruitt on this team moving forward?
No. He needs to go. He made some plays early on in the season, but no, he needs to go.
All right. Tyler Matakevich, for me, it's one way or another. He's just talking about a depth position, depth guy, special teamer. Tyler Matakevich, Finch. Any ties for him with you, and do you think he's going to be a Steeler?
Why not? It doesn't matter either way. You know what? If the guy's likable and they like him on the team, then let him come back.
He's still an effective.
Might be a practice squad guy.
Player. He's still an effective special teamer at his age. He's going to be 33 next year. My God. But he's still effective at special team. Yeah, he's been around that long. I know. It feels like just like 3 years ago we drafted him and cut him.
Mark Malone says Pruitt, Connor, Hayward, and Patterson. We have a bunch. We have a plethora of tight ends. Next one, guys, we're halfway down the list here. So these players here, they don't make a lot of money, but this one has potential to make money if you keep him around and his agent manages to work some money that he was making other places. Mike, is Russell Wilson going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler next year?
I know in his press conference he said that's the plan.
Right.
I don't know if that's his plan, the Steelers' plan. Probably not. Where are they going to get the money? His market.
If you're going to pay a quarterback a lot of money, it shouldn't be Russell Wilson.
Yeah, like his market value again. This is going up by SportTech. They're pretty close to it. It's $38 million a year.
Yeah,
I'm not paying Russ $38 million a year.
Oh.
I'm not going anywhere near that. If you can get him for say like $25 million a year, that puts him at like the 15th highest paid quarterback in that range. That's about where he is anyway. The 20th, the 15th best quarterback on any given Sunday. Yes, if you can get him at that value, bring him back. If not, move on.
Finchy, the Fincher, as Field of Steel calls you. I like this guy. He went away. I liked him again. He came back. I didn't like him as much.
Talking about
talent
Derpy?
level and Derpy. Miss Aunt Peaches. This guy, he underperformed down the stretch. He underperformed in the playoffs, and now I don't care. I would if he leaves, if he goes, whatever. I'm talking about Cam Sutton, Derpy. Finch. I'm sorry.
I showed up.
You're right. You did show up. Cam Sutton, Finch. Is he going to be a Steeler next year? I think just after a few plays in this past week, people want him gone.
Was it Cam Hayward that said something a few weeks ago about one guy not doing his job, and everybody seems to think that it was Sutton was the guy he was referring to? I believe that to be the case. He's one of these guys who shows minimal effort. I was getting legitimately mad watching the game the other night. There was a couple of plays in a row, and I brought this up on the live stream when I live streamed with the game with Derpy, where Sutton would just stand there and let the guy come to him.
Yeah.
And gains 5 yards. And it's like, dude, rush to the guy, make the tackle. Don't wait for him to come to you. And those extra 5 yards on those 2 plays in particular, I can remember, ended up, leading down the field to a touchdown. So, that's poor effort. And we don't need those kind of guys. We got too much of that around here. We got one coaching the team right now. We need high effort guys. Get rid of Cam Sutton. Do
you know who I seen play last night, Mike, that I used to love here? And I knew he was going to do well when he went away. For the Rams, is that Ahkello Witherspoon?
Oh,
I used to like him a lot, man.
When we got him, he had that first year we got him in a trade. He had a really good first handful of games, then waned. Then came back, played. I think he was injured a little bit, didn't play that well. And a guy like that, okay, you got to move on from him. Then he moved on, and he's playing better now in LA than he did in Pittsburgh and Seattle. It took him a while to find his groove in the league, but yeah, he's become an effective player down there.
I like him. He looked good last night. He had an interception in the game.
Yeah.
Guys, we're down to the bottom 10. This is going to be a quicker flash round.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to come to you. Is James Pierre a Steeler next year?
Yeah, he can play special teams. They'll bring him back for that.
All right, Finch. Next to you, Max Sharping. Max Sharping, the guard. Is he a Steeler this year? Does anybody care? Sharping.
Nobody cares, but we need depth on the O line. So if we can get him at minimum or whatever, sure.
All right, Mike. Over to you, CJ Henderson, the cornerback. CJ Henderson, Is he a Steeler? Okay.
Oh no.
Finch, Calvin Anderson, the tackle. Is he back next year? Calvin Anderson. We picked him up late, kind of to fill in some bodies.
I don't even know who that is.
Ben Skoranek, the wide receiver. I seen on the board just a little bit ago. Somebody said bring Skoranek back. Mike, does Ben Skoranek survive?
Yeah. I think I don't know if he's still under contract or not, but if he's on the free agent, I bring him back. He was great on special teams, and he's a really good, tough, hard-nosed, short yardage receiver. Bring him back.
All right, last 5 guys on the list here, fellas. Dan Moore Jr., Finch. Dan Moore Jr.
Yeah, you really want him to do well, and he did not perform well this year. I think the Steelers get rid of him.
Oh, he had a huge drop-off. He was playing. Yeah. He earned himself a $20 million contract and then pitched it away the second half of the season. Oh.
Mike, Isaiah Loudermilk.
Gone. They got to get rid of him. This guy never developed. Oh.
Third lowest paid guy on the free agent list here, Jaylen Warren. Finches. Jaylen Warren, a Steeler next season.
I hope so. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him back. I think he can be the guy.
Yeah, he's a restricted free agent, so yeah, the Steelers control a lot of his movement, and I think they're going to get him a nice tender to where no team's going to want to match that tender.
And these two fellows here at the very bottom, Jeremiah Moon and Ryan McCollum. Does it matter? Does it care? Do these guys, if they are on the team, does it even matter? Mike Finch.
I would McCollum. He filled in a couple games at center when Frazier was hurt, and he did an adequate job. And that's for a backup. I like that. He was filled in for I think 2 games. Really didn't miss a beat. And we moved on. He's someone I would definitely bring back.
And Mark, that's what Mike was just saying with Warren. He is restricted. Let me just touch on a couple of things here outside of. Let me take a quick look. I do know that we are wrapping up, getting close to the end here. I don't want to miss anything. Steelers are all caught up. Just these 2 things. Penguins back in action tonight. The Kraken come to Pittsburgh, 7:00 p.m. Take on the Penguins. I think we got killed last time we played the Kraken. They're back. That's tonight. Also, guys, the Pitt women's basketball team, they just had the largest comeback in women's college basketball history. The Pitt basketball team, the gals, they were down 32 points. They came back to win over the weekend. The largest, that is the largest ever in women's college basketball, the Pitt women. And finally, we like talking about them women basketball players. Caitlin Clark, one of our favorites here on this show. A Texas man was charged with stalking Caitlin Clark, threatening and sending sexually explicit messages to Caitlin on X. He was charged with harassment of Caitlin Clark.
Get a life, people. Jesus Christ.
Come on, Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumyinzers.com. Check it out, everyone, especially if you're new here. We got all of our links to where you can, follow the show on Twitter, on X, whatever it's called now, on Insta, on Facebook, all over at the2dumyinzers.com. We got the merch over there. And in the off season, the blog will be back.
The blog?
The blog will be back in the off season. Once the season's done, I will have the blog back at the2dumyinzers.com.
All right. I do also want to say Mike, you won the picks this week. I'm pretty sure that's why Derpy didn't show up.
I think so.
You did win the picks. It came down to the tiebreaker, and you won by way of tiebreaker. So congratulations, Mike. You have to win out. It's got to the point now where you have to win out, which is 3 more weeks of football. But nonetheless, you do have to win out to win. Derpy is, I think, exactly 3 games ahead of you. So it works out just perfect, Mike. You have to finish strong. The total opposite of what the Steelers did this season.
Yeah.
You have to do. So
yeah, I'm going to come in. I'm like the Rams right now. I am not supposed to be here, and I'm just happy to be here.
All right, guys. Trivia. Check him out. Check us out. www.the2dumyinzers.com. Let's hop over to trivia, guys. All right. So, in the different rounds The Steelers all time are 36-29 in the playoffs. 36-29. There's 4 possible rounds in the playoffs. There's wild card, there's division, there's conference, and there's the Super Bowl. The Steelers are 500 or better in 3 of the rounds. Which round are they under 500 all time in? Of the 4 playoff rounds, wild card, division, conference, and Super Bowl, 1 of the rounds, the Steelers are under 500. The other 3 rounds all time, they are 500 or better. Question of the day, which playoff round do the Steelers have an below 500 record all time in team history? Take a minute to think that over, guys. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every day right here on YouTube. I can't wait for that blog to get back. I go check it out every once in a while, Mike, and I see that. I'm like, oh, that blog.
That's just,
All right. Still focus on what you're doing. In 4 rounds in the NFL playoffs, wild card, division, conference, and Super Bowl, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a 500 record or better all time in 3 of the 4 rounds. What's the only round they're sub 500? Finch, I'm going to start with you today. Which round do you think the Steelers have a below 500 record all time?
I feel like it's the conference title round.
Conference?
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. I think it's real close. I think that's what it is.
Okay. All right. Finch is locked in on the conference round. Mike, same question to you. There's 4 rounds in the NFL playoffs. There's only 1 of them that the Steelers are not 500 or better all time. Which round are the Steelers sub 500 all time in the playoffs?
Go wild card.
Finch said conference. Mike says wild card. Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
All right, got some different answers on the board. Phil still says the divisional round. P says it's got to be the first round. Mike says the wild card, and Finch says the conference. Question of the day, guys, is this. The Steelers in all time, in all 4 rounds of the playoffs, the wild card, division, conference, championship, and Super Bowl, one of those rounds all time, the Steelers have a sub 500 record. P saying the wild card, but they don't always have to play that one. So division, that's where he's going on the division. So a lot of different answers. Everybody knows it's not the Super Bowl. The answer of this question, guys, in the Super Bowl, the Steelers are 6-2. We all know that. In the conference, the Steelers are 8-8, all time 500.
Close.
In the division round, the Steelers are 16-10. In the wild card round is correct. They have a record of 6-9 all time.
Nice.
6-9 in the wild card. That is correct, Mike. You did get that one right. The correct answer, guys, the wild card round. They played 15 games altogether. They lost 9 of them. A couple things real quick. I know Finch got to get rolling here. Do check out his show Friday night, guys, 9:30. That is the 2 cranky Jagoffs, Finch and Tim. They come on 9:30. Is it 9:30, Finch?
Yeah, we're shooting for that 9:30 start time live.
All right. They were a lot of fun last weekend. I did watch. So go check them out. They talk about a bunch of different stuff. I think you'll really like their show. Go
Watch
check
Pit
it out.
Pipers.
Check it out right here on our channel. Check them out 9:30 on Friday. We'll probably see Finch here on the Dum Yinzers show. Before then, we'll talk more about it. But as he's on, I do want to throw that promo out for him. Mike, you won the picks. I think that's about everything, guys. Is there anything, Mike, that you want to say before we take off for today, brother?
Oh man, no. Just another great show, everyone. My God, it was fun. It was fiery. It was fast. The chat was blowing up. This is what I love about doing this podcast. I had a blast today, everyone. Thank you.
All right, Finch, what about yourself, my man? Anything before we roll? Listen. Let me cut you off. I like it. I like whatever it is that you're doing over there. Putting the work in. I'm so excited. Great job as always, my friend. I think that's going to be it for the day, guys. I think we covered everything. I do want to say thank you to everybody for coming and hanging out and checking us out today. We appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. We couldn't do it without you. I want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting. Even as I'm reading here, as we're going off the air, there's still interesting stuff coming up and back and forth between people. A lot of fun going on in the board, as always. And what else? What else? And and everybody at home, I want to thank you as well.
Yes,
you guys are super awesome. We'll be back tomorrow. Finch will be back near the end of the week, right? Finch Thursday, Friday-ish.
It's probably not. I was off work sick over the weekend, so I'm trying to make up some time. Yeah, because you guys know I was really dealing with some funk, so I may not be back the rest of the week. I am available tomorrow. If there's a show tomorrow, I'm available.
All right, so we may say Finch, and then again, he's on Friday night. His show
Friday night will be here.
9:30. The two cranky Jagoffs. Derpy should be back here Thursday to get ready for this week's picks. Guys, we do appreciate everybody. We do want to ask you to come back and see us next time. We will be back tomorrow at our regular time. Of course, Jen. Of course, everybody. Thank you so much for Finch, for Mike in the Steelers Central Mobile Studio, myself. Everybody have a great Tuesday.